believe it, Fox?
I don't believe Fox.
He was on CNN, Fox. He was on every news network. He was saying it. He was on every CNN. He was on every news network talking about it. Herman Cain's a rapist. He still shows up here.
What do you do for a living?
Rudy's in the. You know what? What am I? I'm a journalist.
Oh yeah.
I'm a journalist for the LA
You're doing a really
Times.
bad job of it because you're not understanding what you're seeing from other journalists.
Oh, I know what I'm saying.
So you can't even interpret it. So why?
I can interpret my interpret like that.
So what are you writing? So where can I look you up?
I write for the. I used to write for the LA Times.
Can I ask you a question?
Why are you here?
What's the solution?
What is the solution to this?
What? No, not to this, but to the country's in a really bad place. What do you think the solution is?
We think it is too.
But can I?
No, I'm curious if he has an answer.
Can I ask you a question? Aren't you excited that I know this is extreme, but the youth are actually...
You said it right.
No.
It's extreme.
No. There's principles that you follow.
Show me principles.
Non-violent principles.
We were just in there doing exactly that.
And you were...
And now people are... They're telling us we can't leave. Well, you know what? We left anyway because we're not afraid of you guys. We're not afraid of anybody.
Absolutely, because fear shouldn't be a part of it.
That's right. But that's what's going on here is intimidation. We're from Wisconsin. We've been living with this shit for months. And you know what? We ain't scared of anybody. Nobody.
The Wisconsin's had a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you mean for months? I don't know. What could it possibly mean? Well, geez, when you bust in 100,000 people into Madison so they can walk around the square all day long with drums beating all day to intimidate 5,000 people that gather peacefully there in support of our governor that was duly elected, you know, what do you call that?
No, you call it...
What do you call that?
I mean, I guess it depends on the intention. And I
according
feel like...
to them, this is what democracy looks like. That's what they say. I was there, I've been there, I've done it all, and you know what? That's what we're coming from, and that's where they're coming from, and that's what you guys are doing here right now.
But I feel like, I mean, I agree that there's been some violence and some intimidation.
Why is there violence?
There shouldn't be.
We have done all kinds of things for the last couple of years in Wisconsin. There hasn't been one violent thing. There hasn't been one piece of litter.
No,
there
absolutely.
hasn't been one nothing.
Wisconsin is renowned for its level-headedness, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, this
all
comes.
of a sudden what?
All of a sudden, it's suddenly a hotbed of contention. No, absolutely.
So my argument is, sir, sorry, man.
Why are you here?
How is this system sustainable?
Okay.
How is the system currently
Let me
sustainable?
ask you a question.
What's up?
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. All right, I agree. They just gave all of their top dogs bonuses.
True.
Who paid for it?
See,
we did.
The problem is,
do we like
the problem
it?
is,
No.
we're fighting. We're fighting.
No.
We're fighting. We are actually in agreement on a lot of things. The problem is, you're not fighting the right people.
Oh, you're wrong.
No, Obama's wrong. Obama's wrong. Herman Cain's wrong. We're all wrong.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
So, we have similar ideas.
Yes.
Supposedly.
What do you think the solution is? Not the solution for the situation or for tomorrow, but for the country.
You have certain wealthy individuals. I'm explaining the problem. I'm explaining the problem, and I'll tell you the solution. We have certain people who work on Wall Street, who use the lobbyists on K Street to influence the politicians. Democrats, let me finish, please. Democrats and Republicans are both corrupt. We don't like either of them. What do? Campaign reform finance. You take money out of politics. If you take...
Wait. Hang on, let him say his whole thing.
Please, sir.
Okay.
If you take money out of politics, they won't be upheld into these exorbitant wealthy millionaires and billionaires, and then the people can have a voice to get in the government. The 99% and the 1% is a slogan. In reality, you're fighting 0.1% of the people. And certain, like conglomerate is another term for monopoly. That's all it is. So there's certain people who own almost everything, and they pay off our politicians. That's what we're trying to fight. The fact is, we can't go to the voting polls because we don't want to vote for Democrats. We don't want to vote for Republicans. Who the hell are we supposed to vote for?
Why don't you rally behind someone who holds your ideals and promote them to office?
Why do we have to be by one person? Why can't everybody have an equal voice and say, no, I'm not going to take this anymore?
Because that's not the Constitution.
No, the Constitution, this is the
everyone
Constitution.
having an equal voice should be the Constitution.
This out on the street, what we're seeing here is the Constitution. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, this is the First Amendment.
This is your First
A
Amendment.
peaceful assembly. We're not hurting anybody.
Are you implying that everybody over that 0.% is corrupt?
No. There's good rich people.
Okay.
I want to ask a question about the Constitution. I asked you, why don't you work within the system?
Because the system is corrupted.
I let you speak, let me speak.
Okay.
Why don't you work within the system available? The people have corrupted it, the system is amoral. why don't you work within the system and find someone who you believe in, who other people believe in, and elect them to office?
That's what originally you will find everyone here mostly voted for Obama in the election. We're not going to vote for Obama again. The system itself is self-perpetuating. They write their own laws so they can continue the system they're in.
You're right.
So this is how you fight it. This is how you fight it.
You're absolutely right about that.
This is how we fight it.
The problem is, guys, is that if they were following what the Constitution says, we wouldn't have this, and that's where we're coming from.
But
you understand that if the way that this country was designed was being followed, which it hasn't been followed for the last 100 years.
What aspects have slipped? Sorry,
well, the idea that, for example, that the government has a right to conscript your labor, to enslave the population, that's called income tax, okay? That is a very foul idea and completely opposite of what liberty is. Okay, that's one thing.
I would argue that in general, one of the things that has happened is that we have given more power than was intended to individuals in office, and that has allowed corruption to develop.
We can all agree that federal
And so if we scaled it back to the amount of power that was originally intended, that could cut the problem without slicing the Constitution. I don't think the Constitution is flawed. I don't think that's the problem.
I mean, it must be flawed. It's not a holy document.
It's not a holy.
I'm not saying.
No.
It is.
The men who wrote it were men. They had their vices.
Oh, of course.
That's why they have amendments. And honestly, you cannot have a society
If
when
you
you
stop
don't.
screaming.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I could.
I understand.
You can't have a society where you don't take care of people who need help.
If we don't use the Constitution, what do you suggest we use to rule this country?
Step out of the street. Yeah.
What system or document do you think is better than the Constitution we have now?
This is the big question, isn't it?
If you had something better than the Constitution, I'd be all for it. I just don't know that there is. And the one thing that I'm curious about when I've been following the Occupy movements and reading a lot of literature and reading lots of blogs, the thing that I find confusing is that I hear a lot of talk. No, it's not the lack of suggestion. It's this is all horrible, and it's not suggestion. It's what's better, and that's
You end up
different
with
than
the Winston Churchill
suggestion.
thing. You know, this is the worst form of government except for all the others.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the thing about a constitution. See, if you have a democracy and you work under the idea of a democracy, that basically means that once you have 51% following, you can enact anything you want, which means we want to enslave all German people of origin. We can do that. Okay?
Except the Bill of Rights.
Well, now you're going back to the Constitution. I just said democracy.
Okay, sorry, yeah,
See,
sorry,
so
yeah.
the function of the Constitution
Is to...
is,
sorry.
the function of the Constitution is to spell out what's completely off limits regardless of what majority you have. Okay? That's the function of the Constitution. That's why it's timeless, and that's why it's always relevant and it's got to be followed. Now, as this gentleman said, it is possible to amend the Constitution because there are reasons for doing that because of, different things that might not have been thought of ahead of time. Things change, but that process is well defined.
It is, absolutely.
Okay? And the problem is that it has been ignored. See, and all the things that you guys are I shouldn't say all the things, but some of the things that we've heard that you guys are upset about are a direct result of ignoring that. See, and this is what we're saying. Okay, and we would follow this because when he was talking about getting money out of politics, how do you do that? You do that by reducing government spending because government spending is what lobbyists are going for.
What are they spending
There would be
money on?
lobbyists. The point of it is they shouldn't be spending any of it. You should be spending your money, and you should be spending your money.
At the same time, though, there are things that should be funded by the government. Are they not like education?
What do you define as the social contract?
Not by the federal government.
The state government, all right.
Well,
the state
I would
like that.
I would venture to say that.
Okay.
I'm in a situation, there's police cars all around me, I'm going to have my
Because
camera
I come
going. I'd
from
like
a
to
place
talk
where I
with you,
can get
but...
lots of taxes
then
lobbied
I
for
don't
levied for my education. But there are places where you don't have the money
Anyway,
for it.
I agree, with the small government thing. I just think that
actually been a problem. I mean, look at the problem with tuition is that there's this
society has a construct, and I'm not talking about like major welfare systems, but like roads. And how is the government going to pay for roads if they don't have some sort of like, I don't agree with like military spending. I don't agree with like the subsidies for farmers and all